Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be building our very own ERC20 token from scratch in 2025. This is an updated version of my earlier ERC20 tutorial from a couple of years ago, refreshed for the latest Hardhat and Solidity tooling, as well as using the latest Ethereum testnet. As you guys probably know, ERC20 is the gold standard for creating cryptocurrency tokens and powers thousands of tokens on the Ethereum blockchain. We'll be using Hardhat, TypeScript, and OpenZeppelin to create a simple fixed supply token with permit support. We'll deploy it to the Sepolia testnet, verify it on Etherscan, and test it using our MetaMask wallet. So by the end of this video, you'll have your own token running on the Ethereum blockchain. The full repo with code and complete setup instructions will be linked below. So let's dive in. All right, prerequisites. So before we start, I want to make sure that you've got Node.js installed, version 22, which is what Hardhat requires. So you can either download that straight from the Node.js website, or I highly recommend you install Node Version Manager, or if you're on Windows, NVM Windows, which just makes it really easy to switch between different versions of Node. You can have several different versions of Node installed at once and pretty easily switch between them if you need to for different projects. So once you've got that installed, you can run the following commands to install version 22 and just verify that it's working. And then npm, that stands for Node Package Manager, which is included with Node. So if you install Node, you'll have that as well. All right, with that, let's move on to the build. Okay, guys, let's get started with the build. So for our token build, I've got this starter repo in my GitHub right here, and we're still going to build the token from scratch in this empty token build folder. However, in the interest of saving a little bit of time and keeping the video length reasonable, we've got this completed sample token here, and we're going to take a couple of key files and copy and paste them into our token build and then edit them according to our needs. All right, so let's start by cloning the repo. So I'm going to go over here and just grab the repo URL. Then I'm going to open up my code editor of choice, which in my case is Visual Code. And I'm going to go ahead and open it into my workspace. And then what I want to do is git clone and then paste that repo URL. And that'll give me the cloned repository. So now I'm just going to cd into the main directory here, which is ERC20-token-2025. Okay, and if we expand that top folder, we see we've got two subfolders. As I mentioned, token complete, that's just an example of a fully completed working token. It's my token, that's what it's called, my token. And then token build is where we're going to build our new token. So let's go ahead and cd into token build. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use Hardhat, which is Web3 tooling infrastructure, to scaffold our project, to basically create an empty project from which we can write unit tests. We can have our source code, of course, for the token, and also do deployments. So it's a very helpful tool to kind of have a fully fledged professional project, as opposed to just writing the Solidity script for the token on Remix or something, which you can totally do as well. But this is sort of the full-fledged way to do it. So what I want to do to get that process started is npx hardhat -- init, and that'll bring us through the sort of wizard to scaffold our project. Okay, so let's go ahead and walk through the scaffolding process using Hardhat. So I'm going to do npx hardhat -- init to initialize a new project. Okay, let's go ahead and use Hardhat version 3. Go ahead and use the default for the absolute path. And then what we want to do is select TypeScript with Mocha and Ethers. Yes, we do want to override this git ignore. And then we want to install all the dependencies that it's suggesting here. And that'll pretty much give us all the dependencies that we need to create our token. Well, there's two more things we'll install right after this. Okay, so once that install is complete, we can expand the token build folder and see that Hardhat has scaffolded a new project for us. It's created a bunch of files and folders right here. And so what we want to do now is install two more things that we'll need. The first one is the OpenZeppelin Contracts library. So OpenZeppelin these contracts will pretty much form the basis of our token. And then the next thing we want to install is npm, you can do I, short for install, .env. And that's just a small library that will help us be able to read environment variables from our env file, which will come in really handy for this project. By the way, all the steps in this entire project, as well as all the commands, are documented right here in this top level README. So in case you ever need to reference that, if you ever feel like going through the steps here or copy and pasting anything, you can find pretty much everything that we're doing documented right here. So just for your knowledge. Okay, so the next step, what we want to do is go into token build and create a new file, .env. Okay, so this is going to be a file that holds our environment variables. Now, if we go under token complete and expand that, there's an env example. And if you open up that file, you can copy and paste all of the environment variables names into the new env file that you created. All right, now what do we have here? The Sepolia URL, that's basically the URL that we're going to use to connect to the Sepolia testnet when we go to deploy our token. So what you want to do here, there are a bunch of different options, third-party services such as Infura, or what I'm suggesting, Alchemy. And what you need to do is create an account with one of these services. I would show you, but I don't want to kind of expose my secrets and my API keys. But if you log into Alchemy, click on your project name, you'll create a project for this token, or it doesn't have to be token specific. Like I have Block Explorer project that I'm going to use for a bunch of different projects. Anyway, you click on your project, and in the left-hand menu, there is a, what is it called? Endpoints. So click on Endpoints. From there, there's a drop-down. You want to select Sepolia, and then you copy and paste the entire Sepolia endpoint URL right here, okay? Private key, that's coming from your MetaMask wallet. So if you click on the top right-hand side of your wallet, click on Accounts, and then click on Private Key, and it'll let you copy and paste your private key. Etherscan API key, we're going to use this to validate our contract in Etherscan. This is an optional step, but really good practice. So it's kind of similar to Sepolia. You want to go out to Etherscan, create an account, and then find your API key in your account settings and copy and paste that right here. So a word of caution, especially with your private key, you never want to share that publicly or expose it in any way. You don't want to commit it to your code repository. So if you look in the git ignore, I've got to fix this actually, but you want to make sure that you've got .env right here. Oh, I know why it's, Yeah, I've got it in the completed token, but in the new token, you've got to add it yourself at the very top. So we can say, environment variables. And so as long as you have this .env whitelisted here, that'll ensure that you never accidentally check it into your remote repository. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy over the other key files that we'll need from token complete. Let's start with the Hardhat config. So if you open that up, copy it, and we can just paste it directly into our Hardhat config from our new token project. All right, go ahead and save that. And then let's copy over our actual token contract. So it's under token complete contracts, my token. So go ahead and copy that. Now, if we go back up to token build contracts, you see that there's a couple of contracts here already, counter. Those are just example kind of hello world smart contracts that Hardhat scaffolded for us. So let's create a new file, and you want to name this whatever you want your token to be called. So just to continue from my last video a couple of years ago, we'll stick with ocean token, and the extension is going to be SOL. All right, and go ahead and copy that in. Oops, I lost that, but yeah, select all, copy, and paste that in here. All right, so let's take a quick look at the contract here. Now, ERC20, this is inherited from OpenZeppelin. This kind of forms the base of our token contract. And our contract also includes a ERC20 permit. Now, we won't dive too deeply into this in this video, but suffice to say that what permit does is it allows a user to sign transaction approvals rather than pay gas for approval transactions. So it just makes it a little bit more user-friendly. And also, we've just included it to future-proof our token as much as possible, since a lot of like DeFi protocols sort of are expecting that these days. All right, so you don't really need to change. Well, yeah, you do need to change something. This one's called my token. So change this to whatever you're going to call your new token. And you can do a find and replace, or you can just kind of do it like I'm doing ad hoc here and hope I catch all the spots. Now, this is your ticker symbol, so update this as well. So I'll say OCT. Go ahead and save that. And so this is a very basic token, and what it's going to do here is we'll pass in our initial supply. That is how many of the tokens you want to be available. That's a fixed supply. And what this line in the constructor is doing here, it's going to mint that many tokens and send it to you, send it to the wallet of whoever is deploying this token. All right, let's go ahead and copy over our test. By the way, you can delete these counter files here. Just to keep it clean, we won't need these. Same in the test folder. Just go ahead and delete that. Now we'll create a new test file. Also call it whatever your token name is, Ocean token. This time the extension is going to be TS for TypeScript. All right, now let's go to our token complete test. And we can copy this contents back into our new test file. And again, just find and replace my token with whatever your token name is. Oops, meant to do all. There we go. Go ahead and save that. Now, we just have one test here. It's very basic. It's going to create a token with 1 million denominations. And it's going to just basically deploy the token, and then we're testing to make sure the balance of your wallet, or the wallet who deployed the token, is equal to the same as the initial amount, 1 million. So just a basic sanity test to make sure that basically we're testing the deployment. Okay, let's see what else. Scripts. We're going to add a deploy script. So let's do new file, deploy.ts. And again, we can grab that script from token complete. So go into scripts, deploy. And we'll go back and paste it into our new file. And again, copy and replace. Save that. Okay, we'll come back to that in a little while. And then the final file, did we do config yet? Yeah, we already did that. Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, so the next thing we can do is go ahead and run our unit tests just to make sure everything is good. So I believe that's npx hardhat test. I think it's without the dash dash, but let's see. Okay, I have no idea why it's taking so long. There we go, finally. All right, that looks good. Our one test is passing, which means we are now able to deploy our contract to Ethereum testnet, to Sepolia. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so before we deploy, let's take a look at our deployment script. So if you go into token build contract scripts deploy, there's some important parameters here that we want to take a look at. So first of all, this is the script we're going to call. It's going to deploy our contract. This is the initial balance, or the total balance of your token contract. So basically this is what's going to be passed into here as initial supply. Okay, so you're setting that in the deploy script right here. Now it's defaulted to 1 million tokens, and we do the times 18 because of the 18 decimals, which is standard for an Ethereum token. So it'll really be 1 million plus 18 zeros, but it'll be displayed in wallets for all intents and purposes as 1 million. So anyway, if you want to tweak the number of supply, you would just need to adjust this first number here and leave the rest as is. So say you want 10 million, change it like that. You want 21 million like Bitcoin, update it like that. All right, so I'll just leave mine as 1 million for now. Go ahead and save that. And then in the terminal, let's issue our deployment command. So we want to do npx hardhat run and then give it the location relative to the root of token build. So scripts dash deploy.ts, ts. And then we want to do hyphen network, and here's where we specify what network we're deploying to, Sepolia. So if you wanted, if this was your actual deployment to mainnet, you would have mainnet here instead of Sepolia like this. Okay. All right, go ahead and hit enter. By the way, if it fails at this point, it could be, you want to make sure you have, I should have mentioned this earlier, but you want to make sure that you've got enough Ether in your wallet to cover the deployment. And it's going to be much less on the testnet rather than mainnet. Okay, there we go. So our token has been deployed. What I like to do typically is just copy, that's the contract address of our token on Sepolia. So what I like to do is just copy that into Notepad for future reference. Okay, so next step, let's go ahead and verify that that full initial supply has been correctly deposited into our wallet. So I'm going to grab the contract address and head over to the browser, and let's pop open MetaMask here. All right, so what I want to do is make sure we've got Sepolia selected, and let's go to import tokens. Again, select Sepolia and go ahead and paste the contract address in there. And you can see it's recognizing our token. Let's go ahead and click next and import. Perfect, so now we can see that our wallet does indeed have 1 million OCT, or whatever the name of your token is. Now let's go ahead and test a tokens transfer. So I'm going to go ahead and select my account number 8 address. All right, go back to 7. And let's go ahead and do a send. And we need to select the right token. Oops, it's right here. OCT, there we go. All right, and let's go ahead and send 5,000. Okay. And we'll confirm that. Okay, of course, it's going to take a little while for that to go through once it has the correct amount of confirmations. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and switch over to account 8. And it should show up here in just a few seconds. Okay, and again, we'll have to import that token in our destination wallet the same way we just did it before. So I'll add the token address. Whoops. There we go. And perfect. It looks like our transaction has gone through. So this wallet now holds 5,000, and our deployer account number 7, has 1 million minus 5,000. And those are both correctly reflected. So looks like our token is working. It's deployed to Sepolia, and we're able to interact with it and send tokens just as we would normally expect to. Now, another way that we can confirm that our token is live and deployed is to head on over to sepolia.etherscan.io and enter in our token address right here. And this should find our token. There it is, Ocean token. And we can see it was deployed 17 minutes ago from this address to this address. And we can see all the details. I think if we click in here, yeah, we can see the total max supply, number of holders, total transfers, and that all lines up with the verification step that we just did. Okay, so now the last step is to verify the contract on Etherscan. This is an optional step, but it will give the public a lot more confidence in your token. So I definitely recommend it. And basically what this does is it uploads the source code and construct your arguments. And then once it's verified, everyone can see the code publicly, check the functions, and even interact with the contract directly from the Explorer. So if we head on over to the README around line 93, we can copy and paste this command. And then what we have to do is add replace this with the actual deployed address. So I'll just dump that into Notepad and, oops, place that here. And now this last argument is the initial supply. So it should be 1 million plus the 18 decimal zeros. All right, so now let's copy this whole command and go back into Visual Code, and let's go ahead and run it. And it looks like we've got an error with our verification, so no Hardhat config file found. I think I know what's happening. So we have a config file, so that's a little bit misleading, but what's happening is we don't have the actual verify plugin in place. I thought I added it, but I guess not. So let's head on over to Hardhat and see if we can get this added real quick. Okay. So I'm going to go to documentation, Hardhat 3, verifying contracts, and this should tell us, yeah, we need to install this plugin here. So let's do that first. All right, so I want to, let's see, oops, I'm not in the right folder anymore, ERC20, and then I want to go into token build, and then I want to go ahead and install this. And I will update the repo so you guys don't have to actually go through this. I'll make sure that's updated before this goes out. But just to show you kind of how to set this up real quick. Okay, and then add to the list of plugins. Curation, verify. All right, so under user config, I want to have this plugins array here. So let's do that first. Okay, we got the, that's good. Okay, so we've got that array, so we just need to add Hardhat verify. Okay. Let's do a comma separated list. There we go. Oh, and we need to add the import statement. This line right here. And I'll put that right there. Okay, now there should be one more step left to configure it. So we want to grab this whole block right here, and then we'll point this to our env file value for the Etherscan key. And I'm just making sure, okay, verify that goes right under, I think that goes here, if I'm not mistaken. And then we'll just use the same syntax that, you know, we're using elsewhere here. There we go. And then this is going to be all right, let's go back to our example. Etherscan API key is what we want. Okay, great. Let's try it again now. I think that's all we need. There we go. I'm going to run the verify script again. Oh, no, that was not the right one. Need to go back further. There we go. That's what we want. That same script we ran a few minutes ago. Let's see if it works now. Okay, that looks promising. Definitely further along than we got the last time. Okay, it's already verified. I wonder why that is. Okay, well, I don't think that's correct because this is the first time I've run the script. So let's try it again. Maybe this is a Hardhat bug. Let's see what happens if we just run it again. Oh, yep, totally. That was weird. Okay, so work the second time. So I guess file that mental note away that Hardhat can be a little bit buggy sometimes. So now it is verified, and it's giving us the URL that we can follow and hopefully verify the verification. Open. Okay, there we go. This contract has been verified using Blockscout bytecode database. So we can see our contract is successfully verified, and notice now we can see the source code that's publicly available for everyone to inspect. So yeah, it's just great practice. It gives a lot more confidence for people who potentially would want to trade your token or purchase your token. So definitely a highly recommended step. All right, guys, so the final step would be to deploy your token to mainnet. Once you're happy with everything, how everything's working out on the testnet, then again, like I mentioned before, the only difference you would need to do here is replace Sepolia with mainnet here on your console command. And again, this can be found in the README. This is on line 84 right now. That may change, but step 9 anyway. So yep, and then you would just run that command again, targeting mainnet, and then all the other steps in terms of verification and Etherscan verification would be the same. Just anywhere where there's like a network specifying Sepolia, you'd want to update that to mainnet. So yep, so that'll be it, guys. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and I know it's been a while, but hopefully I'm going to get back to making videos a little more regularly. So if there's anything you guys would like to see on the channel, please let me know in the comments. All right, guys. Well, happy coding and take care. Bye.